Our speaker today is a good friend of Launchpad, Carey Rouse. He is the founder of veloscapes.com and careyrouse.com. I'm very excited about the title of his presentation today. It's called The Pivot, Finding Momentum When the Search Stalls. And I got to tell you, the search very likely will stall for all of you. It's so hard to keep plugging on uh, in spite of rejection, which is what happens until you get hired. After 28 years of corporate roles and a recent discouraging job search, Carey Rouse stopped waiting for a yes and started building for himself. In this talk, he shares the psychological principles and framework he used to move from corporate expectations to personal agency. Based in Austin, Carey is a recovering ex-technology professional. He's reinvented himself as an entrepreneur, author, endurance athlete, and life coach. He integrates artificial intelligence into every facet of his work to drive efficiency and creation. He is a lifelong cycling enthusiast and the founder of Velo Escapes, a luxury cycling expedition company. He developed the Achieve Anything framework to help individuals navigate career transitions and make breakthroughs in any area of their lives by reclaiming their identity and internal alignment. I can't wait to hear what he has to say. Let's give a warm welcome to Carey Rouse.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate that. Thank you, Kathy. I am going to go through here because it's a small enough group. I just want to say good morning to Mary Jean, Alex, Christina, Mr. CB Fisher, Scott, Steven Schaefer, Henry, Terry, Matthew, Craig, Russell, Dr. Sanchez, Ruth Ann, and we've got Renee, Stephen, Estella, Carolyn, and laptop. So I'm not sure who that is, but let me go ahead and make sure that I am sharing my presentation here. And let me know if you can see that just fine.
Looking good. Yep, we can see
Great.
it.
All right, so before I jump into this presentation, I want to talk just a little bit about myself and my journey because I know what it's like to be looking for a job. I know what it's like with the frustration. I've had to go through this multiple times, and it just seems like it's getting harder every single time. You know that I really the last 2 years for me have been just a roller coaster with very little direction, so much uncertainty. I was working for a startup that was 45 days from funding for like 2 years. So as a startup, I'm working like crazy, but getting paid basically nothing. And ultimately, that all came to a head in November of this past year. And I couldn't survive any longer doing that. And I decided that I had to go back and do the job search again. And man, that was hard. It was really hard for me because of just the what was happening during that time. You can get so close to an opportunity and um and then you just get told almost nothing and it just disappears and you don't know why. And that was happening to me, and it was hard because when I talked to people about what I wanted to do, I didn't have anybody close to me. I didn't have any friends or family that could relate to what I wanted to do. I really didn't want to go back to that same job, the same job search. And so getting shut down the way that I did, striving for something that I knew really wasn't right for me, made it even more painful. And so that's when I really had to sit down and really work through what are my values? What is it that's going to make me happy? Because it felt like I was being just pushed by the friends and family to do what they wanted me to do or what they had done. And when I sat down to do this, it really helped get clarity to me on what I should be focused on and what my breakthrough is going to be and what are the actions I'm going to take to get there. And so that is what this presentation is for today. It's finding momentum, figuring out what that breakthrough is for you, and putting a process or framework in place to do that. So let me get started here and tell you a little bit about this breakthrough process. So I feel like there is one universal truth that I'm going to share with you as a part of this process, and four principles that govern this change. And then there's four components of this process. It helps you with the tactical alignment for the execution. So here's the universal truth. We are all seeking to feel more alive. And so the difference is the more. It's different for every single person. I feel like a lot of us have gotten, and I've gotten into a rut of just kind of following the script that everybody else is following, but it just didn't feel right. And so what you've got to really figure out, what is your more? Is it more passion? Is it more love? Is it more time? Is it more freedom? And it's just different for everybody. But there you can't deny that we are all seeking to feel more alive. So principle number one, progress equals happiness. It's not the goal alone that makes the happiness. It is the progress along the way. You've definitely been in a situation where you've had a goal, you reached it, you were happy, but did that last forever? It hasn't lasted forever for me. But the process to get there, the journey to get there, and the progress to make is really what makes the happiness. So I've got a little story here. That what you're looking at is a camper van. And about 2.5 years ago, I decided that I was going to build a camper van out of a cargo van. I had never done anything like this before. I essentially sold all my possessions, including my other vehicle, and bought an empty cargo van. And what you see in the back there is pretty much my possessions at the time. And I rented a small cabin from a family who had a farm in Llano, Texas, for two reasons. They let me use their barn so that I could work on my camper van, and it was not an enclosed barn. So it was 105 degrees outside when I started, and the high didn't get over 22 for a few days when I was working on it. Several times I didn't have warm water, but the other reason I chose that farm is it isolated me. So I just needed no distractions. I worked on this thing for 5 months straight, 10 hours a day. 1,500 hours later, I had done everything myself. This had everything in it. And I can't tell you the number of times where I'm in this barn, it's midnight. I finished putting something together, and I just could not be more proud of myself for making the progress on this thing as I progressed. But back to, maybe the goal isn't what really makes the happiness. So I finished this thing 2 years ago, and it was great. But 2 months after that, I was like, okay, I'm getting rid of this thing. I'm selling it. So that was it for me. The goal of getting it built really wasn't lasting at all, but I will never forget the feeling I had as I made progress towards building this thing. The next principle is, the strongest force in the human personality is we've got to stay consistent with the stories of how we define ourselves. So how we define ourselves gives us incredible energy to do things that seem impossible. This is a picture of me and my mom, and it is September of last year. And last year, I completed 2 books, and one of them was an autobiography, and it was also a book about discipline. And this picture is in DeQuincy, Louisiana, about 315 miles from Austin. And there's one thing you should know about me, and this is how I define myself. And I truly believe it. I am an athlete, and age means nothing to me. And so it's so important for me to prove that to myself. And I, to do that, after I wrote the book, I decided I was going to hand deliver the book to somebody in Orlando, Florida. So I rode my bike 1,300 miles over 11 days to deliver the book. And that was to promote the book, but the person I was delivering it to may have not even been there. But that didn't matter to me. The most important thing for me was proving to myself that I'm an athlete and age doesn't matter. I'm 54 right now. I was 53 when this picture was taken. So what I'm trying to say is how you define yourself and you truly believe it will give you unbelievable power to complete things. Principle number 3, what you focus on is what you feel. So if you focus on being stuck, if you focus on what you don't have, you are going to feel stuck. If you focus on what you want, if you focus on achieving what you need, you're going to feel completely different. And it's going to affect your ability to perform. So here we have another picture. And this is a picture from Dallas to Austin. It's 210 miles. So another biking story, of course. Last year, I decided to ride my bike from Austin to Dallas. And I did it 4 different times. It's about 210 miles. And this one I did alone. And one of these trips was not like the others. One of these trips, I had a tremendous amount of issues on the way from Dallas to Austin. Essentially, I had 4 flats and only 3 ways to fix those flats. And multiple stops along the way to try to figure out what to do. And I had a choice. I mean, obviously, you've got to deal with the issues right in front of you. But my focus was arriving in front of my place, downtown Austin, at some point that day. Nothing outside of a hospital bed was going to prevent me from getting there. And it shouldn't have been possible. But I kept focusing on getting there. And the feeling I had was of invincibility. What do you do when you're invincible? You will find a way to get it done. If all I thought about and all I focused on was issue after issue after issue, you would feel defeated. If you feel defeated, you're not going to be able to make the progress you need. So what you focus on is what you feel. And the last principle is that you actually don't feel the facts of the situation. You are feeling the meaning or the story you give those facts. So when we have things happen in our lives, what is the meaning that you're putting on those things? And it makes a huge difference on your outlook and your feelings. So this right here is a picture of the villas at Lake Travis. In 1999, I bought one of these as my dream home. And I was working in tech at the time, and it was just a dream come true. I was also engaged to be married that year. And about 6 months after buying it, we started to discover that the buildings were crumbling, and we didn't know why. So engineers, architects came out, and they found out that the developer who had just built it used poor workmanship, no flashing, and no treated wood. They were rotting from the inside out. And so nobody could have predicted it. And so first thing that happens is a lawsuit. And because it was a condo, they needed to figure out how much to sue the developer for. And so they decided to completely fix one of the buildings out here, and then they would just multiply it by the number of buildings. It was $2 million. And the owners have to foot that bill. They have to split the bill. So that, on top of my mortgage, essentially doubled my mortgage. I was not prepared to pay double my mortgage. That went on for months and months. And the hope was they would settle or would go to court, we'd get the money, everyone would be paid back, and we can restore these things. But essentially, that's not what happened. That just dragged on and dragged on. And I lost my entire life savings to this. Everything that I had saved was gone. And it eventually, I couldn't pay double the mortgage. So it was foreclosed on me. And at the same time, I caught my fiance cheating on me a month before the wedding. So it was not a good time for me. But this is another thing. What meaning could I give to this? The meaning could be everything's against me. I'm a victim. Life is unfair. I can't get through this. And what would that have done with my feelings? How would that have changed my ability to move forward? And another way to look at this is I lost everything. I lost everything, and it just doesn't matter. I'm still moving forward. I can still find a way. So the meaning that you give to the story is going to influence the feelings. So these are the components I wanted to talk about, the first three. And you need to have internal alignment. And I think there are three main components. You've got your head, which is the intellect. So it helps you think through things, the strategy of this new story that you're trying to put into place for yourself. In your heart, that's the emotion, it's the war cry, it's that desire that makes this new story possible. And then your gut, that's your intuition. That's the anchor, the truth teller, and how you can align these things. Your head can be completely out of alignment if you overthink things, or you might intellectually tell yourself, I can't do that. I want to keep things safe. And then the heart, of course, that can provide the deep emotional desire to do things. But I think we've all probably been in situations where the heart can also lead us astray. And that's where the gut comes in, your intuition. Your intuition is a truth teller. Keep all those three things in alignment. And that's something you've got to think through, because just understand the influences that come from the head and the heart. And the last piece here is that as you need to approach things by infusing energy in everything you do. When people show up and they have energy, they didn't just have it. They are generating the energy. It is purposeful. You've got to do the same thing. Lead with your body, right? To create that state of energy, the way you talk, the way you move. And it's going to make a difference not only for you, but the people you're interacting with. And that's important. The energy is also important to make progress and move forward. So I'm going to do an exercise here. So I actually want you to do something during this presentation. So, and some of it's going to be writing things down or setting a reminder or setting a meeting or sending a text message to somebody. But let's start off first with imagining it's 1 year from now. And it's the best year ever for you. What made it the best year ever? Not what your friends and your family think it would be great for you. And it's not based upon, the script that other people write. What do you truly believe would make it the best year ever? It's a year from now. What happened? Focus on what it is you want, not what you don't have now, but what is it you want? And you achieved it. So thinking about what that is, there are 5 potential blockers that could stop you from getting there. Maybe it's a fear. Maybe it's a fear of failure. Maybe it's a fear of what other people are going to think. And that could be a blocker to this thing that is going to make your year the best ever? Or maybe it's a limiting belief. I'm a procrastinator, or, I don't know how to do this very well. And, you know, it just, what is it that you believe about yourself that's limiting? And it could be disruptive emotions. It could be depression. It could be anger. It could be jealousy. What is there emotion? Is there emotion that's really blocking you from achieving what would make it a best year ever? Or bad habits. Maybe you've got some bad habits. You're a doom scroller. You 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 don't follow up. You don't have a system for keeping track of things. What is it? Maybe there's some bad habits holding you back. Or maybe it's as simple as a missing skill. If I just knew this one thing, if I just wasn't even an expert at this skill, I know that it would make a difference for my best year ever. So consider for your situation, like right now, what is that main blocker? Maybe one or two blockers, but there's a main thing there that could prevent you from getting the best year ever. And so now the next step, if you know what those things were, is two things. And this will be the most important slide I want to share with you. Is if you've got something, you got a major goal that you know you can get to, but there's a blocker, two things. What immediate action can you take in the next 24 hours that's going to make a dent on that blocker? And what is a massive action that you can take? And I want you to think about this a little bit. And then I need you to somehow commit yourself to both of those actions. That's the most important part of this that I'm trying to tell you is send a text to a friend, say, we need to meet and talk about this. Put a meeting on your calendar, invite somebody, send an email to somebody now. And I literally want you to do this right now. I'm going to give you enough time. You know that what your best year ever could be. And you know what could be blocking you. What's a 24-hour action you can take? And how can you put something in a place to make sure you do that? And then what else do you need to do to commit yourself to the massive action? Maybe there's a skill or something you wanted and you've been eyeing this new course that you could take. Maybe that's something you could sign up for right now. If nothing else, please write down something on a scratch piece of paper or a notepad. What are the two actions that you can take? And then what is it you're going to do to commit yourself to those actions? I'll just give you a second there. All right. If you've got something in place for that, at least a note, because this is the most important thing, taking action. Because unless you're doing that, this is just a thought exercise. All right. So let me summarize what we talked about. I'm going to focus on what you really want, not what you don't want. So you had a vision for what's going to make your best year ever. And that focus creates feelings about yourself because what you focus on is what you feel. If you're picturing yourself and you've made it, you've had the best year ever, how does that feel? And those feelings drive your story, your self-identity. You've achieved that. There's a feeling produced by it. That influences what you think your identity is. And the need to stay consistent with your identity is the fuel to take action. If you truly believe that's your identity. An action generates progress. And the first principle, progress is the source of happiness. So make sure you align your head, your heart, and your gut as you go through the process. and you're generating energy with your body. You're showing up and you're generating it. You don't just have it, you got to generate it. And all these things here, before I go to just the last slide, is like I said, this really is a thought experiment up to this point, outside of what I've asked you to do to write down something or put something in place to hold yourself accountable. But for me, I'm not the type of person that can just listen to something and then I start thinking differently about myself. And I wouldn't expect anyone else to be able to do that either. I think you start with a desire and a want, and then you do things to prove that to yourself. And then that eventually changes your identity and what you think about yourself. And so there's a big component in here of doing something. And as I wrote my book last year about my life, and then I considered what steps had I taken and what else could I learn, I researched all kinds of authors on changing your life and transformation. And that's when I came up with the Achieve Anything framework that I'm using myself to hold me accountable to taking actions on a daily and weekly basis to reinforce who I am. And I use it myself. If I'm not using it myself, then it's not worth sharing it with anybody else. And because if you're not actually taking action on something, I don't believe it's going to be very easy at all to truly change your identity and how you feel about yourself. So what I want to do for the group is just you have free access to the framework, to the application. Use it at your own pace. If you have questions about it at any time, just reach out and ask me. You will be given, of course, my LinkedIn and my email, but it's on here, and the QR code will lead you to the login for the app. And then you can find out more about me at careyrouse.com, my website, and my email's on here. I think I want to finish with obviously answering any questions that you have, but I really want to encourage folks to dive deeper and deeper as they can into AI. And if you haven't, it can be intimidating. And it's frustrating to me when I was first starting, when people would just say, oh, dive deeper into AI. What does that mean? Like, do I just chat more with ChatGPT? And you can. And by doing that, you will understand more of the power of it. But something I discovered around Thanksgiving of last year, when I had my framework built, but I didn't want to deliver it with a PDF. I thought it'd be better if it was interactive, like an application. So I had the right advice from somebody at the time to get on a very particular platform because it just does everything for you. And it's called replit.com. You can see it's built into the URL for the website, aaframework.replit. And if you haven't used it before, you would literally just talk to it or you type to it and describe what you want to build. And it will build a real application that is on the internet that other people can go to. And it is, if you haven't done it, it's eye-opening experience on what you can do, what you can create. Back to what Kathy was saying about the 30-day challenge to come up with a portfolio of the things you've done in AI. You literally can create applications and showcase them. But that is the end of the presentation. And I'd like to be able to answer maybe any questions y'all have. And if you don't mind, I'm going to stop sharing and I can still get this to you so I can see everybody. And let me know what you have in mind, because if you've got questions about AI, shoot them to me here, ask, and I'd love to try to answer them. And I have not been able to watch the chat. I'm sorry if I missed some questions.
I have not seen any questions come out in chat, but people can feel free to unmute and ask questions or raise your hand if you want to use that. Um, I have a question though. So you said you utilized AI in this process.
Hmm.
Can you tell us what prompt you did? What did you what how in what way did you uh, use AI?
Yeah,
I'll,
actually,
I'll
if you want to pull your screen up and do something live on it, Carrie, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, let me escape out of this. And there's a couple things I'm going to show you. I'll go back to sharing my screen. I anticipated doing this, so I have it up. So let me go back to share it. All right. Let me know when you can see this.
We can.
Okay, so this is one part I want to show that people don't realize. And how much time do I have?
You've got 30 minutes,
Okay, this is maybe enough time.
a good
Um,
30 minutes. You
actually, I
can
did this
go
for
over if you
some.
need to.
Okay, I did this for somebody yesterday. And she was frustrated, right? She's a small business owner trying to do things, getting overcharged for stuff by people that don't really know what they're talking about, claiming they can do things for you, and they're just taking your money. And that has happened to me so much over the years that I wanted a little bit more self-agency to be able to do what I wanted to do. So this is Replit.com. You would log in and you have a workspace, and I have three apps down here, but yours would just be empty. How you want to get started. And you want to create something new. You could click on this, and this is where you're going to want to do it here. So let's just to give you an idea of how this would work. I'm gonna type it in, but I also have an application I want to share with everyone called, it's not my application, it's something I use. It's called Whisper Flow. And what it allows you to do is you have your cursor in here, and I can push a hotkey, I can start talking, just rambling. And it makes it cohesive and allows you to make better prompts that don't have such broken English in it. And it just kind of helps with the ability for the AI to make something. So I'm going to try to do that right now. We'll see what happens because I've got the microphone hooked up to the meeting and everything. See if it grabs us. I like to create an application that helps me understand how many calories I need to eat a day. So maybe something like age, gender, height, weight, and then activity level would be helpful. And they enter the information and it gives them the calories for the day. Oh, look, so I talked, it gathered all that stuff, it put it together, and I'm in this plan mode right now where it's not going to build something, it's going to help me plan through this. I'm going to hit go. It's going to think a little bit. And what it's doing right now is the beauty about this is I don't have to know about anything what it's doing behind the covers here. It's just going to tell me what it's doing. It's kind of telling me how it's thinking through it. And this platform, if you needed a database, it holds a database. It does everything for you. And over here, when it's starting to build it for you, it'll show it in a tab called Preview up here. And I know we can get this done in this amount of time, but you're at least going to be able to see what it shows. You can do this with anything, any kind of app that you want to build. You just talk to it or type to it. I would tell you talking to it is about 10 times faster. So if you can use WhisperFlow, there are some free alternatives out there. If you're on a Windows machine, I think if you hold down the Command key and H, it starts this thing that it will record your voice while you're doing that, and then you hit it again and it stops. And the way it works is you put your cursor in the field where you want the words to go, and then you hit your hotkey, you talk, you stop the hotkey, and then a lot of times it has to think a little bit, and then it puts it in there, just like it did earlier up above. So the front end is getting generated now. Wait for it to finish, and it's going to show up over here, and it'll be usable. Not only will it be usable, once we feel like it looks like we want it to look, we can then literally publish this to the internet. And then you can send people to it. It's literally that they'll host it and everything. And if you have a custom domain, let's say you have a domain that you created that's yours, and you want to make this website that domain, that you can do that. There's a section in here where you say, well, my domain is, careyrouse.com, for example. And I wanted to build a website. I can build the website here. It'll make it, you can publish it, but it's going to have some kind of like weird URL, but people can still get to it. And there's settings in here where you can say, well, I want to make it careyrouse.com. And it's able to do that as long as you already own that domain. So it just created this based upon this one prompt that I gave it. And it chose the color scheme and everything. We're going to choose this. You're going to choose how many years old are you, your height. And look, I can change it from foot or inches to centimeters. So it actually added this feature in there for me. I didn't even ask for it. I want to do feet and inches. And then pounds. I want to do 160. And then activity level, let's say light. Calculate my calories. It thinks, and then it tells you. So all this was created. And if I push this button right now and said publish, it would publish it to the internet and each of you could get to it. That's how easy it is now to create an application. So I want to try something. I want to show you something else here. Maybe I'm not ready to push, but I want to change something. So make, test, and iterate. So I'm going to do that same thing. I'd rather have a purple color, and I want the text to look more modern. Okay, let's see what it does. It'll redraw it over here for you once it's working on it. And it uses a series of AI agents behind the scenes, which really doesn't matter, especially if you're new to this. It just doesn't matter if it's a series of agents or what kind of agent. What you care about is the output, which is here on the right. And earlier we talked about, showcasing your AI portfolio. Well, the best way to do that is if you've created some applications that are published to the internet, you can share those. Just give the URL to somebody. So it'll work here. While this is working, I want to tell you about some other ways that I used AI. So I actually wrote 2 nonfiction books last year. And I used AI to help me organize my ideas. I'll tell you, writing a book is difficult because of, especially when I started, because the context windows for AI are so small, it would tend to like drift over time. And I didn't use it to write the thing. You can't do that. But now you might be able to do it. But I used it to help organize all the outline of the entire book. And then I would go one section or chapter at a time, write something, and then have AI make it with better English, for example, because I'm going to make all kinds of mistakes. And then I put that together. I have a hard copy, a soft copy, and an audiobook and an ebook for my first book. And the second book, which is called
You there?
now I'm going blank right now, but it's a book about my life, but it was also written about discipline and the different components of discipline in life. So it's about find meaning through relentless discipline is the name of the book. Find meaning through relentless discipline. And once I did that, it was really about my life story. So AI can't write that, but I can give AI hundreds of examples from my life. And I allowed AI to help organize those things in a way that made sense in certain themes of my life. And so the book came up with 6 chapters. And so it helped me organize things. And then on top of that, just any kind of copy that I need to put on my website, I will brainstorm with something like ChatGPT or Gemini, where I feed it information about my business, about me, and then I ask it to brainstorm with me on ideas for texts that would be meaningful and impactful that I can put on my website, I can put in my emails. And just trying to discover what direction to go. I actually spent a lot of time with AI talking through what I was going through, what I was feeling, the feedback I wasn't or I was getting back from friends and family, and how I felt conflicted. And it's a great brainstorming buddy to help you think through those things. So I'm going to go ahead and publish this. I don't know if it'll get to the internet by the time that my time is over, but I'm going to publish. But if you were to type into your browser calorie dash calculator dash one and then dot replit dot app, it won't show up right now, but in the next 4 or 5 minutes, you're going to find that that is a working website that was just produced in a matter of minutes. And this does cost, right? It's not free to use Replit. It's $20 a month. And I probably used up $7 of credit. So I created a fully functional tool, if you will, for $7 in like 20 minutes. And the one thing that people don't realize with this, especially if they're paying other people to do stuff for them, is the amount of time it takes you to explain it to somebody and then back and forth, and they have to understand and they do it wrong. Then you have to tell them what to do right. That process is longer and way more expensive than you doing it yourself. I mean, you have to still explain what you want to somebody. Explaining it to AI in this kind of format is far more instantaneous, and you can see the results instantly. So it is now published. If you go to that website on the internet, it should be there.
What's the URL, Carey?
It is calorie dash calculator dash one dot replit dot app. I'm gonna hit this button to open it for myself, and there it is. It should be available to everybody right now.
Replit.one. Is that ONE or the number?
Calorie dash calculator dash one dot replit is REPLIT dot app. Actually, I could probably put this in the
Yeah.
chat.
And paste it in the
Yeah,
chat.
there it is.
Yeah, so in the past, when people have given me advice, a lot of times you don't get advice on how to do something. People will say, well, I'll do it for you. And you don't learn. And you're kind of handicapped. So when someone told me about this app, I really dug into it. Now, since then, I have created my website, and I'll just show you what it looks like. This is my website for life coaching and fitness coaching that I do. And AI has done this entire thing. Of course, me telling it what I wanted. And I have connections into email marketing. I have an application process for people to apply for the fitness coaching and submitting it. I have a link for my book in case someone wants to get the book, and contact information. And I also have other resources that are free here, 1001 Ways to Real World Discipline. And also have a 21-day discipline challenge. It's just an email that goes out that helps you through. It's kind of like a mini version of the Achieve Anything framework. And it's just an email that comes to you that is trying to invoke action on a daily basis. And then the site that I'm currently working on is Velo Escapes. So this is my business where I design biking trips for people all over the world, and we're starting here in the US. Everything about the site was me talking to AI to get it built. And it's just incredible what you can build. And you don't realize it's possible until you start getting in and talking to it. So, I mean, everything about the site, every detail, and a lot of times with this, it's a lot easier than traditional web construction where you have to like move things over a certain number of pixels. You can just say, make it compact, make it modern, make it look good. It knows what that means. It's just, it's unbelievable. So, and then you can use it. So I'm going to be using it to help me write blogs. And also I use it to create images. Nano Banana 2 from Gemini is the model right now. This is the best model for creating images. And this is a helpful tip for you. Don't just go into one LLM model and say, make an image that does this. My advice for you is to use another model, maybe ChatGPT versus Gemini, and say, give me a prompt that I could use in this other AI that is fine-tuned, that will allow the other AI to make a photorealistic image. You need to put in things like camera lens and lighting and camera settings. When you tell an AI to create a prompt for you with all those settings, that is the prompt. Then you paste in to tell it to make the image, and it will make it so much more realistic. I can go on and on about different like tips and tricks that I've used for this. But and then this right here is an example of the Achieve Anything framework app that everyone can get free access to. You'll come in here, you'll start a new breakthrough. I've already started mine, increase social confidence. The reason I'm talking to you today is that is part of my actions that I'm following in my own framework, because that's what I want to change in my life. And it goes through everything. If you're not ready for change, start here. If you are ready, has definitions for everything. You define your values first. You go through a trade-off audit. A breakthrough statement is that, what is the thing you want to do? What is the breakthrough you want to achieve? Why are you doing it? And then MVR is short for minimum viable routine. What is the routine you're going to do on a regular basis? And once you establish all this, you walk through all this is you walk through this with the app, and then you start tracking. And I'm on week 4 right now for tracking. I've been doing this for 4 weeks with my current breakthrough. And you set up the steps you're going to do and your fallback routines and the triggers that help you do what you're supposed to do and the anchors that hold you back from achieving them. And I get at the end of the day, I get to check these boxes if I've achieved them. This is what the framework is about. And in the end, after 7 weeks of this, on the 8th week is a maintenance week where you redo that steps in the over and over and over again. So you can redo the maintenance over and over again. The purpose for that is taking action to truly reinforce your new identity. It can't be done with just someone telling you, hey, think differently about yourself. You've actually got to take action and prove it to yourself. And that's what this is for.
Carey, can I ask, on your website, obviously with Replit Agent, it's able to actually create and build a website for you, but yours, I didn't notice anything in the URL that said Replit, so I'm assuming it wasn't created using Replit.
So what you can do is once this new thing is built, you see it has a strange Replit URL.
Yes.
There's some settings in Replit where I can assign my URL to this app that was just built.
Okay.
Yeah, that can be done.
So like your website, right?
That's right. So what you might do, so this is what I did with my website. I used to have my website at careyrouse.com, and it was hosted by WordPress.
Yeah.
And I had to change things in WordPress, and it was frustrating. So
Right.
I used AI to build another website by another name. And then I assigned CareyRouse.com to that new website. And then this used to be hosted by WordPress. I
Right.
shut that off. I shut that
Okay.
off. So yes, you can move your domains that you own
Yeah.
into apps that you built with any AI tool.
So your domain was hosted by,
WordPress, let's
yeah,
say.
but that domain you had moved from
Yeah,
WordPress
yeah.
to,
You can move a domain that you own
okay.
from where it's hosted to a new place.
Okay.
Yep.
And is that new place within Replit or some other agency?
Yeah, in this case, like it was in Replit, but just to let you know, when you start with something, you're going to be so addicted to this, to learning more.
Yeah.
I have now moved beyond Replit. I have
Sure.
moved to a new platform in AI to
Okay.
build apps, but what it required of me is to learn so much more than I had.
Sure.
But learning is so much easier now because you just ask AI.
Right. Is that bolt.new or Cursor or some other site?
I tried Cursor for a little bit, but I'm in anti-gravity right now.
Okay.
And the reason I'm doing that was strictly cost. I will
Yeah.
warn you that if you're using Replit only for a complicated app, so right now the Achieve Anything framework is still in Replit, but it costs me about $400 to $500 to completely build the AA framework in Replit.
Yeah.
And you get spoiled, right? You get spoiled because if you were to build this website with an outside developer,
Yep.
it's going to cost you thousands of dollars, heartache, and months.
Yep.
I did this and I had complete control over the build, and it cost about $500.
Okay.
But I've gotten spoiled. Now I don't want to spend $500. So I'm using anti-gravity, and I am literally using my you can leverage your login to ChatGPT, which is $20 a month, to build essentially for $20 a month inside of anti-gravity.
Really?
Yeah. And there's ways to set that up, which, I can't even tell you the number of hours of YouTube videos that I have consumed
Sure. I can imagine.
to get to the bottom of all this stuff. So, but yeah, I'm very bullish on this, and having this skill set is amazing if you're looking for a job, but I think it's also amazing um, if you're just trying to improve your own portfolio, and if you end up really wanting to go your own direction.
So can I ask, I did not hear the start of this message. I apologize. And I'm laptop. My name is Barry.
Oh, hey, Mary.
So I didn't hear the background. I did hear that you're in tech, and I admire the build out of the camper van. I thought about buying one of those myself over the last 2 years, but chose not to do that because I just could not live in that confined a space, and neither could my wife. But I do admire the desire to build something from scratch and see the handiwork that you've done at last. So I admire you for that. But I'd love to hear where you started, obviously in tech doing something. Were you an engineer? Were you a sales guy? How'd you start? And then how'd you move to this? That would really help.
Yeah, 27 years of program and project management. My last full-time role at a company was a program manager for Indeed.com.
Oh,
So
wow.
I
Okay.
worked directly for them, worked at all sizes of companies, and I got into the same problem that I think a lot of people get into, right? You're just living somebody else's script. You do what you're supposed to do, and you're looking for the next promotion or the next raise, and and I did that for way too long, and I really hated it. And I kept on telling myself, I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to stop doing this. And finally, I started taking some risks and doing things about it. And I've co-founded a SaaS startup that did not work. I quit my full-time job a week before COVID hit, so that did not work out.
Oh, wow.
I've started a virtual personal training company. I've started a online CBD company. I've started a company where I traveled around the nation to interview race car drivers because I was doing a podcast and YouTube channel where I interviewed race car drivers because I have raced before myself. Um, I've tried a lot of different things. And the last stint where I was kind of involved working for somebody else was the startup. And it was just kind of demoralizing to put 12-hour days in for almost 2 years and getting paid like, I could have made more money driving the school bus.
Wow.
And I just got sick of it.
Sure.
And um, that's when I really started looking at trying to learn more, do for myself, and simplify my life. Actually, building that van was quite a simplification.
Sure. Yeah. Probably got you out of the mind only and into some physical activity, which I found is very helpful as well.
Yeah, yeah. Life isn't about having. Life is about
No,
doing.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a spiritual component too to your slide. So I liked what you put together. Thank you.
Yeah. Um, I appreciate everyone's time. I probably have run over.
Well, it's
Sorry
been
about
well
that.
worth our time. So don't apologize, please.
You didn't go over.
Oh, well, that's
You didn't
fantastic.
go over. You got 8 minutes, and people are putting in Russell. In fact, uh, put in Bolt.new,
Hmm.
Cursor, anti-gravity, Lovable,
Yep.
vibe
Yep.
code apps, vibe coding. So anyway, you've opened up a whole new portal for us.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there. The one thing that I would say, I don't know about, I think Lovable is similar to Replit in that it's an all-in-one thing. Cursor, you have to know a little bit more about software development. So I would suggest starting with one that just does it all. Um, I think Lovable does that and Replit does that.
Wow.
And if you have any questions about it, um, let me ask. I guess I'll put here in the chat before we close. I'll put in LinkedIn. Please LinkedIn with me. I'll put my website. I'll put the link to the Achieve Anything app. It's free to use. I will tell you that I'm still actively improving it. So if you have suggestions, I'm all ears. In addition to using it right now.
I'd love to ask this question since you mentioned using Nano Banana too. And sorry, I don't want to be occupying all the time here. But I am looking to try and post some videos, but I have, as somebody else had mentioned during the chat, serious concerns about releasing my voice and my face to a medium where I do not control the use of it. And so I'm wondering if you've ever found an app or a program that allows me to easily not monitor, easily modify my voice. So if I were to create a video on my iPhone, for example, and then take that video, change my picture of me and change my voice to some other voice so I could post that without somebody seeing my actual face and hearing my actual voice.
I would suggest maybe a platform called Hey Gen, HeyGen, and it
Okay.
allows you to create avatars who aren't you, who have their own voice, but you can tell them what to say.
Is it an actual human looking avatar or is
Oh
it
yeah, oh yeah, it's a
is
human.
it?
I mean, they're getting better all the time, but I mean, there'll be some people that will say, "Oh, that doesn't look real,"
Hmm.
but they've gotten so good. You'll see samples on there,
Okay.
and you'll see samples. Heygen.com, HeyGen, and you
Okay.
can use the avatars that they have created, and they're not real, but then you can tell them what to say.
Do I have to give it what I want to say in my own voice, Carrie, or can I just type it out?
Imagine it takes it in any form. You can write it out.
Okay.
You could, I mean, ultimately, it's probably you write out you want the avatar to say, and then
Yeah.
it knows what to say. You write it out probably.
Okay.
I'm assuming you could use WhisperFlow to dictate to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. You can probably use WhisperFlow to get it in writing and then feed it to it.
Wow.
And now, by the
Whisper
way, you could
Whisper Flow would be
also
capturing my voice, though, would it not?
WhisperFlow may capture your voice to turn it into text, and then it just throws the text into that field. If you don't want any evidence of your voice on the internet,
Yep.
then you probably can't use WhisperFlow because WhisperFlow is taking your voice, changing it into text, so it knows what your voice is.
Yeah.
The kind of the cheap way to do that that's free that I did. I used this for a while whenever I was creating the Achieve Anything framework inside of Replit. In Windows and in the Mac, there's a hotkey. Like you push Command and H and you just start talking. Like once your cursor is in a field, you start talking. It it does its best job to kind of record that, but it's on your machine. Like it doesn't go anywhere else.
Right.
And so you could do that. It's just usually a little choppy. But I will say AI is so good at figuring out what you're trying to say, then that you can make all kinds of mistakes and it just doesn't matter.
Right. Right. Apple Notes will do the same thing where I can just
Yeah.
say what I wanted to type and it'll type a note out for me through transcription. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you
that's
agree that the
great.
difference is one is dictation versus because I've had this mission for a while to go back through like a work narrative, right? Like I want to go back to, my first job and just blather everything I can remember about that job and
Yeah.
have it summarize it. So would that be a good use for like whisper flow, something like that, so that I can, and ah through it and everything else, and then just have it.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. You can be in the middle of a sentence, say, I want to meet somebody on Thursday. No, Wednesday. And it will know, oh, you
Mhm,
meant Wednesday. And that's all it's going to
mhm.
write.
Okay.
So it takes the full body of everything you said during the narration period. Let's say it's 20 seconds of talking,
Mhm.
and then it looks at it and says, what did this person really mean? Let's make it in a proper sentence.
Yeah.
Um, there's also other tools like inside of, I think Google, there's a narration. If you just have a document open and there's an ability to connect to the microphone on your computer, you could just talk forever. And it's just trying to write as you're talking. It's not
Mhm.
it's not making it cohesive. But what you could do then, once you have it all written out and it's incohesive, feed that in to an AI agent or an LLM and say, don't leave out any details, but make this, grammatically correct and comprehensive, and then it will figure it all out.
Yeah, that's perfect. I figure it's kind of two or three steps, right? Like one of it is just capture, right? Like I
Yep.
just want you to capture all of this. And then, then using AI, go back and summarize or extract different things, different bullet points that I'm trying to pull back out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that for me, this is all about, as I sit down to write a resume, I just get stuck and I
Mhm.
can't, for whatever reason, I can't move forward. I look at a job description, I'm like, I could do all of that. I have all of those experiences, but I just can't get my brain to make that jump or shift. So that's part of the reason why I'm attempting this path is maybe if I just narrate back through everything that I did, then I can use AI to summarize and generalize and identify different points that I can tie back to. But I know, and I think the last speaker that we had 2 weeks ago said she did something similar where she wrote out just everything she could think of that she did forever. And maybe even do that in multiple sessions. Like, okay, I want to go back to my role at blah, 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 and talk more about that because I just remembered three things that I'd totally forgotten about. Um, Thoughts or suggestions?
Yeah, I actually did the same thing during my job search that I was so depressed about on November of last year. I created a comprehensive work history, not just of where I worked, but every single project and accomplishment. And it took me a long time to put it together, a long time. But it's a document that lives. And I made all the bullets, like you know how the properly formed bullets need to be for a resume. And
Yes.
it just built this massive library. Okay.
Yes.
And then I kept that. And then I built a massive library of just skills that I have. And then I would ask AI to combine my history with the skills, with the job description, and
Yes.
create a resume in this format using the specific bullets that are most impactful for that job, and then
Yes.
create a resume for it.
That is what
There
I
is some
want to do.
tweaking you have to do, but it just makes I mean, you don't want to turn in a resume unless it's customized for the job, unless the
Yes.
keywords are there for that job. And you can use AI to help that for you, but you've got to do that one exercise up front. The massive library of everything you've done, and then just have that as a reference that you feed into
Yes.
AI the next time you create a resume.
That's a
Yes.
good,
It's
we've been advising people to do that for a long time, the master work history. And with AI,
yes.
AI can't know that you've done those things. You have to really create that master work history in detail, and then you can feed it to it and say, select the matches here for this particular job. But the detail that you're telling us about that's above and beyond. That's excellent.
So now I know I am out of time.
A little bit.
All right. Well, I'll put as much contact information as I can here in the chat. Please reach out if you've got questions.
Hey, can I chime in real quick?
Of course.
First of all, Carey, great job. Wow, very impressive. Um, in some ways, maybe overwhelming. But what I took away from your entire presentation is you tried playing the game. You played by the rules for a long time, uh, and you eventually quit the game, created your own game, and focused on your strengths and how you could play it. And that's what I'm taking away from your presentation is I may not be as skilled at coming up to speed on all those apps like you did, but maybe my strength isn't there. Maybe I really need to be, creating my own game and applying the rules there. So thank you very much for everything you shared with us today. You did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hmm. Yeah, this is a one of a kind. This was really, really impressive. Uh, Sorry about all the disasters in the beginning, but I think a lot of people are stuck in that same way with, especially if they've gone through job loss multiple times. And it's like, oh no, not again, not again, not again on the same treadmill for just a different a different game, that somebody else controls. And so yeah, we need an app for that. Yeah. Uh anyway, it was a real breath of fresh air. And I have a refrigerator magnet that came after an election that was kind of devastating for me that says action is the antidote to despair. And I think it can be applied in many different places, but you did it well.
Thank you.
This was fabulous. Yeah, especially you folks that are taking lots of notes and want to kind of follow along in his path or close to it, connect with him on LinkedIn. It's nice to have a sounding board. It's nice to have, you can have your own little GitHub uh sandboxy kind of thing. So anyway, this was really an eye opener. Thank you so much, Carey.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have a question, comment?
No, thank you, Carey. Just truly appreciate your time today.
Thank you. And I put put all the links in there just now for everybody. So if you want to copy that.
Oh yeah, this would be a good time for me to remind everybody how to save the chat. Uh, on most computers, you go into the chat, you look up at the top, right underneath the X, you should see three dots. On mine, it's to the right of LPJC weekly meeting. My three dots used to be at the bottom. They are now at the top. And when you click on those three dots, the very first option is Save Chat. And anyway, some people say it saves it in their download. Usually after I close down all my my whatever's open, I have the chat there. If you're on a phone or something and you can't save the chat, reach out to Shannon or me. We almost always save it. Shannon likes to copy the chat and put it in a Word document so that it has page numbers and it's a little bit more user-friendly look to it.
Hey, Carrie, can I ask as well? You mentioned to one of the other gentlemen earlier who was asking questions, I forget his name now, but about Russell, about putting into AI, all this information that he had collected from AI, basically him doing a throw up
Mhm.
in AI on his previous past and all of his jobs. What is there a particular AI engine or LLM that you like to use? You said you used to work for Indeed. I can tell you that probably 80 probably percent of the people on here have used LinkedIn. And as you well know, I'm sure LinkedIn is unfortunately something you just can't get away from. I'd love to be able to just get away from LinkedIn altogether because it just seems to be so fraught with challenges and problems and all kinds of other things that are making it very difficult for people to find jobs in today's marketplace in the tech space specifically. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts might be on that.
So are you talking about a tool that is best used for you to drop in a mind dump of your work history?
For your resume and
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So I think all of them are about equal and they're all getting better all the time. The
Okay.
ones that I have used for that is a combination of ChatGPT or Gemini.
Okay.
But I have a $20 subscription to both of them.
Yeah.
And what's important though is the instructions you give whatever LLM you're using to say, look, don't don't tell me things that you think I want to hear. I
Yeah.
want you to challenge me and make truthful, helpful suggestions, even if it means saying something that I'm saying is not accurate. And then what I would do with that is it would spit out this big blob of text. I copy that into a Google Doc. And so I have it saved.
Okay.
And then when it comes time to then, let's say, create a resume, I will also create another document, which is the job description. And so when I go to ChatGPT or Gemini, I attach both of those documents and I tell ChatGPT or whatever what it is. These are two documents. This is this is that. I might even attach a third document, which is a sample resume, which is the template of the resume.
Yeah.
And I'll just tell it what to do. I want you to use my work history, use this template, put it in this template, and make sure it is answering everything involved in this job description. And then it'll do its best job. It's not going to be perfect and it's not going to be formatted great.
Hmm.
Then I take that output and then I will try to put it in the template form, like a Word document or a Google document
Hmm.
of what that resume would be, and then ultimately save a PDF of it.
Okay. Yeah, I've used those tools you just mentioned to try and do the same. I think from my perspective, having a background in cybersecurity and a few other things, I am very hesitant to give any AI or LLM my information. So I've created a AI resume template that just kind of has what I've done without my name, info, or anything else to tie that work history to me.
Hmm.
And then have it, okay, here's my resume, here's what I've done, now here's the job profile, match those two up for me. And as you said, tell the AI, hey, you're the recruiter at this company, this is your role, you've been doing it for X amount of years, etc. And then have it spit back something that's meaningful. So thank
Barry,
you.
have you Barry, have you ever tried? I saw a video the other day, strange source on YouTube, but they were talking about basically running AI locally on your computer. So rather than feeding it to Gemini, you can download large language models to your computer and it runs completely within the bounds of your PC. Because this is a
Um,
question, and I just want to throw this in real quick, is this is a question that, I use Gemini, I have a subscription for Gemini. One of the things that I've been doing is I've been feeding all of this information into a notebook LM so that it bounds it. It it forces the AI to only use the documents that I give it a reference to. Because the thing that I'm the most worried about, I did this the other day. I tried to download a screenshot of my skills on LinkedIn, and I said, convert this image into a list of text and tell me which skills I've been endorsed for, which ones I've been endorsed for the most, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because I want to keep those. And it came back and it was giving me a bunch of skills that I don't have on the list. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? You're like adding things to this list that don't exist. And it's where I tricked it, where I stumbled was because I had mentioned LinkedIn, it was pulling information from LinkedIn and saying, well, these are the most common skills on LinkedIn. I'm like, that's not what I asked you to do. I asked you to use this image and this context only. And I finally had to just give up on it because I couldn't get the AI to just focus on that image. Anyway, my point is that resonates very deeply with me, Barry, is like, maybe not
Yeah.
as much of the cybersecurity, although I am sensitive to that, but I want to make sure that this work history, this work narrative, my archived resumes and everything else, that when I do the matchup between the job description and the resume I'm building, I only want it to pull from my experiences. I don't want it inferring anything. I don't want it guessing anything. I don't want it assuming anything. And so I've
Right.
been searching for a way to like bound the context. And I don't know if it's building my own LLM about me to where the only context that it's been trained on is me so that it keeps that. But then again, you start rubbing into, I can't ask it to be a career professional because now, anyway, I'm babbling. I'll stop. But yeah, I'm just curious, running LLMs locally. Have you looked
So
into that, Barry?
two things.
Or
One
Carey?
is that this will be a frustrating point for everybody because they're non-deterministic, which means you don't know really what they're going to say. So the best way to combat what you're talking about, which I have combated many times before, and was so frustrated, I was yelling at it, was that you got to go to the instructions that guide how it answers you, and you must explicitly say it maybe more than once in there. You are to never guess ever, and if you ever don't know an answer, you will tell me you guessed and you will never assume anything. You will never make up anything. And that helps, but it doesn't make it perfect. In terms of a local LLM, you can do that, but it is expensive because you've got to, expensive upfront because you got to buy hardware that can handle it. You're going to spend $2,000 to $3,000 maybe minimum to get a decent local model. And this is the other thing. If you're concerned about privacy, then the models you can put on your machine at home are open source, usually Chinese. So if that is a concern for you, then it would be pretty difficult to put it on a local machine for you. I don't have a problem with it. I haven't done it yet because I don't have like a chunk of cash to throw down on a machine like that. And you've got to do your research. You got to make sure you have the right kind of RAM and video RAM to run a local model like that. It's generally quite large, and it's not normal memory, and that's why these Mac Minis are so popular right now. Is
Yes.
because the Macintosh can combine regular RAM from the machine that normally can't be used on an LLM with video RAM from like NVIDIA. It combines them, and so it gives you enough RAM to run these models locally. But you don't find that on any other kind of hardware. But still, the stuff's not cheap. It's expensive.
Yes.
And you're giving, so as you said, this is the reason that I haven't done it, is exposing myself to possible infiltration from somebody from China or somewhere else. And not only that, but as Carey pointed out, Russell, you're also not getting all of the, these large language models are built by thousands and millions of people inputting data and info, and you're not getting all of that if you were to necessarily build your own at home. That's that's the other key that I felt like I would be missing.
Well,
So,
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%, Barry. I'm with you,
yeah.
and thank you, Carey, for adding the extra content. It and context, and I think that's the key word. It's like I want the context and awareness of Gemini, but I want to to be able to give it that context to say act as a recruiter, act as a so and so, act as a such and such, right? And using the last 10 years of act as a job recruiter with 10 years of experience. Having a local LLM, it may not have all of that context to do that part of the work. But I also want to, and I think, Carey, you've already sort of given me the right information, like only use, it's all about how you engineer that prompt. It's all about how you engineer that prompt. And so that's something that I
Yeah.
can tweak on.
And you might find it difficult if you're trying to engineer at every single prompt. You need to engineer in the instructions, which is done once, which is a configuration for your entire interface.
I got you. I
Yeah.
got you. Okay, that makes sense. I've seen places in the settings where you can do some of that type of stuff. So I need
Yep.
to research that a little bit, learn a little
Yep.
bit more about
Yep.
that. That's fantastic. But I love just going back to the earlier part of that process that you laid out, that entire workflow that you laid out. I'm very interested in that. I'm reach out to you offline. I'd like to talk to you more about that because to me that is my sticking point. I just, everybody, all my friends are telling me, no, just don't worry about it. Just get your resume out there. Just do it. Just do it. And I'm like, I know. And it's not that I don't have the skills. It's not that I don't have the experience. I just, for whatever reason, I've got, and it goes back to your, big actions and things like that. And for me, I think one of the things that would set me in that direction is having that history, that narrative, that confidence to go back and say, I think of it as like building a quiver. I want to walk into an interview, and when somebody says, "Tell me about a time that you blah blah blah," I want to have that thing ready to go. It's like, oh yeah, I just looked at this the other day. We did a project like that. We did these things. This was a situation. This was the tactics, the action, the task, the action, the results. And for me, I think that dumping it all into just as Barry said earlier, just a big bucket of knowledge will help me re-extract that information. I just don't remember everything that I did. The last piece that I'll add to that, one other thing that I am exploring with friends is I think the other component of that is not only me sitting in an office by myself trying to recall these things, but reconnecting with the people that I've worked with to get their perspectives on my skills, my performance, my competencies, my, everything. Because I was just having a conversation with someone the other day and I mentioned something to them and they're like, that's not how I remember you doing that at all. That's not how I remember you doing that. That's not what I took away from that experience. I took away this other thing. And it gave me a huge boost of confidence to hear somebody else telling me, I observed this skill in you rather than me having to rely on myself. I have a tendency to not want to claim ownership for some of those things that I did or some of those things that I may achieve. And I think a lot of people do this. I won't say everybody, but I think a lot of people do this. We have a tendency to not want to take credit for the things that we have or not brag on ourselves. And I find that to be very difficult. So I just want to add that piece is that once I have my narrative and my history of what I recall, but to share that with others and get them to add their comments and their observations, because I think that that's a huge confidence boost in that regard.
Yeah. We all need support and community through the process.
Mm.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else with a question or a comment? There's an hour from 11:30 to 12:30 that we call on the virtual meetings only that we do chat room where we talk about either the speaker, our individual job searches, what's working, what's not working, just questions about that where people can, and this rarely is a presentation so captivating that everybody hangs in here and continues to feed off the speaker. But anyway, this was great. Anybody else? Carey was really nice to hang here. I'm sure he has a life to live, but this
Well, I
was
mean,
great questions and comments that everybody's making.
I'm willing to hang as long as you guys need. I cleared my calendar for a bit longer before my next meeting, so I wanted to just be prepared and
So what do you do now for income if it's not too personal a question?
so there's kind of I'll call it two back burner things that I do. It's life coaching related to the Achieve Anything framework and helping people through that. You get the app for free, but some people just want extra help, extra support, extra encouragement to bounce ideas off. So I'll do coaching for that. And then fitness coaching, I've been doing that kind of on the side for decades. And so folks that need help with that, it's virtual in nature, but it's highly accountable every day. That's the problem with all this stuff is sometimes being consistent. And I think the consistency comes from having true accountability. And so I'm here to help people stay accountable. So that's kind of the back burner thing for me. And the thing that I'm dumping a lot of my time into right now is launching my business for the bicycle tour adventures. Got my first trip coming up in Tucson in April, and I basically organized the whole thing. And I'm in the middle of that build out of the website that I shared momentarily, and then I'm really connected here with the cycling community in Austin, and that's my passion project, right? So I know I would be good at it. I know I would enjoy it. I know I could help people have a great time. What I don't know about it, and this is what I think everybody should think about. I don't know for sure that that alone is going to pay my bills, but I have been so focused on the bills and the pay and everything, that it made me miserable for a very long time. And I'm just done with that. I'm done with it. And I'm going to do this because I know I can do it. I have confidence I can do it. And that's really what I'm going to be spending my time on. So, I mean, um, last year I rode my bike 15,000 miles, um, more than most people have. I don't even have a car right now. That's how I get around with my bike.
Wow.
And so I'm committed to it. I'm going to leave in about 4 days for a bicycle tour with another group for about 10 days in Florida. But this whole time I'll be trying to work on just launching everything. So that's what I spend my time in. And if folks need some extra help with the life coaching related to the Achieve Anything framework or fitness coaching, I'm here to help.
I do have one more question, if I may, Carey. This is Barry once again.
Yep,
Appreciate all of your time. You've been awesome today.
no problem.
You mentioned that you've downloaded and listened to a lot of YouTube videos as a
Hmm.
I, right? And I just was curious if you, for me, the tough thing as a tech guy is making sure I'm spending my time, so my ROI is spent in the right places, learning
Hmm.
from the right people. If you get on YouTube, unless you know the right people, you could just listen to some guy or gal go off for an hour or two, who at the end of the video, you're like, that wasn't a good use of my time, and it really didn't give me the foundational or whatever pieces I feel like I need.
Yep.
Information's great, but information that's not coming from a viable, trusted, knowledgeable source is useless information, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
so as I expand my AI career knowledge and understanding, I need to make sure that I'm putting in information that's accurate, correct, and given by somebody who knows exactly what they're talking about, rather than some guy who just made a video over a weekend, spending 10 minutes in front of an AI thing.
Yep. No, I totally understand that. And I'm kind of picky before I subscribe to stuff. And
Yeah.
then, I talk with friends on, did you see this video? We see it. And I don't immediately subscribe to somebody. I listen to it, make sure they resonate with me. And then
Yeah.
I may look at a couple other videos. And then I'll subscribe. And I'm not looking at every one of their videos,
Mhm.
but if there's a particular topic that's hot right now that I want to know. Like I moved over to anti-gravity. And so I was seeking out, and I use the search quite a bit. I know there can be a lot of different things out there, but I'll use it and just and find something that the speaker, they resonate with me, and I feel like they're speaking at my level, not above me. That's one of the biggest things I see with some of these is they just make all these assumptions about what other people already know, and I have to
Right.
look up terminology while they're talking to me, and that's no good. I'm not capturing anything.
Right.
I will tell you the one, it's the one that kind of gives me hope.
Okay.
Is I listen to Peter Diamandis. So Peter H. Diamandis, and let me, yeah, Diamandis. He has several videos. They put about 2 or 3 out a week. It's called the Moonshots or something like that. Just look at his latest videos. What I like about his is it's all about what's happening in technology, what's new, where the world's going to, but it's very optimistic. It's none of the doom gloom stuff. It's not political. I don't want to deal with that stuff.
Hmm.
And it has a lot of good topics about what's happening right now. So I like that. That's the one I actually try to get to the moment it comes out. And then there's others that are more tactical that talk about some of the technology coming out right now. I would say that I am not a good source for you for maybe someone who's just kind of about to get going, because some of the ones I subscribe to are are a little bit more, a little deeper, and it would be more confusing than it would be helpful. I'm trying to find one in particular
You
that I
like Jeff
recently
Sue?
subscribed to.
Can you put these in the chat maybe? Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Um,
Do you like Jeff Sue, Carrie?
I don't know that I've
You know him? Okay.
seen him, but I mean, oh, here's a guy. Let me put, if you type in Skill Leap AI. There's one that I like this guy. He's just kind of a normal dude. He's very popular and has done a ton of videos, but there's a lot of stuff that you can learn, and he does a pretty good job of making it understandable.
Okay. Thank you.
I know there's somebody else that's very popular that he's got a huge following, and he also does like show and tell. He'll just do stuff for you, and so it's not just explaining. I'll find him here in a second.
Thank you. Yeah, Jeff Sue is a guy I've listened to before. He's very knowledgeable. He used to be a former Google employee,
Uh-huh.
and he brings some of that Google knowledge to much of his broadcasts. But like a lot of techies, it's like, hey, I need to get out of the same rat race that you just mentioned earlier that we've been in as a tech employee for years, right? So,
Let me go to the home. This might just pop up on my feed because oh, there he is. Who is this guy? Let's see what is his name? Nat Herc. So I'm going to type in, it still might be a little bit too deep because he's talking about using AI to automate things, but he still talks about things in a very understandable tone.
okay. Thank you.
And then you can also go back to probably some of the earlier videos because things have just moved so fast. Like what you talk about right now didn't even exist 2 weeks ago.
Right. Yeah, it's the change of code and it changes at a daily, weekly basis. So,
It does.
yeah.
And then I will tell you, if you're interested in certain tools,
Hmm.
absolutely subscribe to all those tools have their own YouTube channel. Absolutely subscribe to those YouTube channels for those tools.
Okay.
Replit, Lovable, and then watch those tutorials.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, I
Hmm.
saw even Google Maps just released a 3D update yesterday that supposedly they're going to push out to all of us. It'll give us 3D viewing of our maps and our travels navigation wise so that you can actually see things in a three-dimensional instead of 2D, which I think is pretty cool.
I was already trying to test it this morning,
Oh,
and
were you? Okay.
I don't have the update yet.
Yeah,
So
me neither.
um,
Well, thank you, Carrie, again.
yeah,
Appreciate
no
you.
problem. No problem.
This is probably a stupid question, um, but when you put in a question and the first thing that pops up at the top of the page is the AI response to that question, um, which may or may not be 100% accurate. And then when you go lower, you find Wikipedia, you find HuffPost, you find a lot of other places that um, um, are chances are the information is more accurate. AI might have even pulled from those sites for their response. But it also, when you use AI, uh, are you spending a lot more money? Are you causing the use of energy and things like that? Whereas somebody said, uh, we were talking about the fact that some piece of advice said that you should always be very polite to your LLM and create a relationship and say please and thank you, and that you should do that. And somebody said, yeah, and those, please and thank you, those three words are going to cost whatever, $600,000 a month or something for those little niceties. So are we supposed to have in the back of our minds the enormous expense of these data centers that are processing all this?
I'll just tell you what my point of view is, which I don't think everyone should have their own point of view. I don't care. What's going to happen eventually is because of AI, we're going to have advancements in energy distribution and production and everything like that. And if we didn't have AI, that would still be on the same slow course. And yes, it does cost more energy, but the advances and the things that you can do and get done and the benefits to society will far outweigh the extra energy that's being spent. And people are being told to focus on these negative things, and it's just like it's like hiding the benefits of what AI is. So I think there's people with an agenda to or their opinion, right? What do they believe? They believe AI is bad, so they will do and say whatever is necessary to try to get everyone on that bandwagon. And so I don't worry about that. I don't think about that. I feel like it's not an issue at all. And it may take more energy, but just think of the advances that are happening. I mean, we're going to have a cure for cancer and other things sooner than we would have ever had without AI. And that just far outweighs the extra energy, I think. But that's just my opinion. I wouldn't want anyone else to. I don't want people telling me what opinion I should have, so I don't want to tell other people what they should have either.
Got it.
Yeah, and when you do that search and you get AI at the top and then the actual web results beneath that in Google, um, in my opinion, the AI answer is going to be better. Where you want the specific links is if you want specific information about a very specific website or location that is not a general type answer, and then those links are more important. But I rarely use Google in a search to get to a specific answer. Sometimes when I have an error, like I'm running into a bug or something, this is something else I use. If you're running an application and you get an issue and you don't know what it is and you can't explain it, do a screenshot of the page, feed it into AI, say, I'm here, I got this issue. How do I fix it? It'll read the screenshot, it'll tell you what to do. You get another error. Okay, do another screenshot, paste it in. This is what's happened. How do we get past it? And sometimes when it tells you, hey, you do this in this menu to go here and then change a setting, and you're like, that doesn't exist. You are hallucinating. You're making this up. You're looking at old documentation. This is what I see. Give it to it, and usually you can get to the answer. Sometimes it takes a little bit.
Wow.
But if you're not using screenshots to help you get past an issue, you're missing out on one of the huge benefits of AI just telling you how to do it. There are so many things that I don't know how to do with my website or why I would do them, but AI does. And you just got to get used to asking it for help.
Great. Thank you.